During the November 8th election, Lee Summit voters will have the opportunity to decide whether or not to fund public safety improvements in Lee Summit through a no-tax increase general obligation bond election. These capital items will be addressed in one question. Shall the City of Lee Summit, Missouri, issue its general obligation bonds in the amount of $14.5 million for the purpose of making public safety improvements, including A. the acquisition and installation of new emergency services radio equipment and related infrastructure, with interconnections for public safety and other operations of the city. B. the acquisition, construction, furnishing, and equipping of a new fire station to replace Fire Station Number 3, and C. the acquisition of fire equipment and apparatus. Before explaining each of the public safety improvement projects, it is important to understand the definition of a no-tax increase bond initiative. First, it does not increase taxes. A no-tax increase bond issue is made possible when existing bond issues are paid off. As the debt decreases, the city can issue new bonds with voter approval and pay them off over time with the current property tax levy. Thus, there is no need to increase the current property tax levy to pay the debt. So why are these public safety improvements needed? In order to answer this question, we'll focus on each public safety project one at a time. First, emergency services connectivity. A section of the bond question addresses upgrading the radio system for public safety and improving network capability at city-owned facilities. The radio system includes both mobile radios in vehicles and portable radios carried by public safety personnel and other city employees, such as public works and water utility staff. Lee Summit's current emergency radio system is analog and works well within Lee Summit. There was an upgrade to the system a few years ago to address bandwidth requirements by the Federal Communications Commission. This was paid for by a non-tax increase general obligation bond initiative.
Yeah, in 2010 we were presented with the necessity of upgrading the system in order to meet what they call narrow banding requirements. There's a certain amount of spectrum that's available for radio bandwidth, and the system that was in place at the time did not meet federal mandates, so it was necessary to upgrade to the new system. However, it was not made digital at the time. It was kept in analog capacity, whereas most of our neighboring agencies now have switched to digital systems.
Lee Summit remaining analog while surrounding jurisdictions have switched to digital has created communications difficulties.
So the problem with analog versus digital is they're two completely different radio formats. So when we find ourselves working with partner agencies that adjoin our jurisdiction, we have difficulties communicating with them. There has to be some sort of technological patch to make those systems talk to each other, so to speak. An example could be another agency pursues a suspect from a crime into our jurisdiction, and we're unable to easily help them locate that subject through radio communications. Another example may be a weather incident or a disaster of some sort, where either another jurisdiction comes into Lee Summit to assist us, or vice versa, we go into their jurisdiction to assist them, which happens more frequently than people realize. It's difficult for us to make that switch and talk to that agency through their radio system, whereas the agencies that surround us that are on what they call the Metropolitan Area Regional Radio System, or MARS, simply switch a channel on the radio and they're good to go. MARS is a system that they call it kind of a system of systems. So 3 different jurisdictions in the metro area started MARS by joining their digital radio systems: Independence, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Johnson County, Kansas. So they all connected together, and that way they can share resources and easily talk to each other. Theoretically, an officer who is in Johnson County can drive from Johnson County, Kansas, all the way through Independence, Missouri, and hit towers on the system along the way. So they can do what they call seamlessly roam throughout the metro area, and that expands the coverage of the system. So they can talk to each other from Platte County to Cass County, and from Miami County to Ray County. MARS is set up to have redundant towers and systems in place. So even though a tower could go down on Lee Summit if we were on MARS, one in Independence could help pick up the radio traffic for us. So it might not even be noticeable to the user who is using the radio.
Lee Summit is one of the last larger jurisdictions in the area that does not join Mars.
So our recommendation was that we need to update to the Mars system and join the system in order to allow this seamless communication with other agencies and jurisdictions. But there's a cost associated with that because we're switching all the way from an older technology of analog radio to a newer technology of digital radio systems. And the bond issue would allow that infrastructure change that's required to do that. And it would also allow for the purchase of radios for everyone on the city who will be on the system, which doesn't just include police. It also includes fire or any other resource that might need a radio at the time, such as public works.
Network connectivity would also be improved with this bond election. Currently, portions of the city's network connectivity are unreliable. These network segments are using equipment that is beyond its end of life and no longer supportable for maintenance and upgrades. This has led to outages affecting network computer access and business telephone availability at city sites, including fire stations, Lee Summit Municipal Airport, water facilities, parks and recreation, and others. The bond issue would help with purchasing and installing wireless and fiber connections to these facilities and more. The total cost for emergency services connectivity is $8.5 million. The second area addressed by the bond is replacing Fire Station Number 3, located at 3rd Street and Pryor Road. The fire station was built in 1970, and at that time it only housed one fire truck and one fire personnel. Since its initial construction, it has been updated once, and that was in the 1980s.
With the growth of the city, we've had to put more personnel and more apparatus at the station. It's now serves the southwest part of the city, and being built in 1970, we've pretty much outgrown this facility. It serves a big portion from 50 Highway West to the west city limits, from the north 470 to the south around Longview Road. It's a lot of it is residential, and it covers also John Knox Village, and there's a lot of age group there, the older age group that it also serves. And it also serves the mall area, so it's a wide variety, and it is, along with our Station 1 headquarters, it's the busiest station within the city. We try to incorporate as many people out here as possible, but really three is basically the maximum. The issue is the station isn't big enough to staff an ambulance along with our pumper. So what we're able to do, we do the best that we can with the resources provided. However, when it comes to ambulance service, the actual ambulance has to come either from Station 7 out on Shear Road or headquarters in downtown.
Fire Station Number 3 lacks space to house personnel by gender and other equipment.
So the inside of Station 3, as you can see, it's a very, very tight space, very small space. Where we're standing right now is the day room and training area. And one of the issues with this station is we don't have a separate area for training. We don't have a separate issue for a lot of different things. So not only is this the day room, they do all the web-based training on this screen here. Right adjoining this is the kitchen. No separation in the use of this space at all, so you go basically from the kitchen into the day room and training area. So as you can see, there's a lot of shared use of this entire space. Another issue that we have inside of this station is there's no separation for any type of administrative functions. This is the station that the captains and the medical personnel use to do their EMS reporting instead of being in a separate office area. Following on down the hallway, you can see it's not very large either. Another issue that we have in this station is our restroom facilities. It's one single facility, so there's no separation for different genders, and we do have female personnel that are stationed at this location. Another issue that we have is the storage, locker storage in the wet area. So we've done the best that we could in a very small area, but it's more the size, the constraint issues we have at this station. Coming on back the hallway, this is the bunk area. This is what we call more of a dormitory style bunk room. There is one separate bunk room back here. That is the officers, the captain's bunk room. The rest of this is a dormitory style bunk room. Again, no separation for genders or any of those issues in back here either. So additionally, with the size of this station, we don't have much office space. The captain's bunk room also serves as his office space. So any disciplinary or any type of any of those issues, administrative issues, also occur in this space as well. Inside the bay of the station, the apparatus bay, not very large. We do have a pumper that's stationed out of this facility. As Chief Paschal talked about, we also have an unstaffed grass rig that is cross-staffed. So we'll take that as needed. Throughout the rest of the apparatus bay, we have a lot of different equipment as far as lawn mowing equipment, exercise equipment, extra storage, things like that. So you can see it's a very tight space. Doesn't allow any room for future growth. It doesn't allow any room for any other types of apparatus to be stored here. One of our big issues is on the department is storage of other apparatus, reserve apparatus. Apparatus, as you know, or if you've seen fire trucks go down the road, they continue to get larger and bigger with more capabilities. So again, this station has reached its maximum as far as what we can store inside of it. As I talked about, they have the exercise equipment, other small tools, other types of equipment. Not the ideal situation with a lot of the cancer prevention studies that we've seen. The constant exposure to diesel exhaust is one of the contributing factors to cancer rates in fire personnel. Obviously, our workout equipment is right next to where the exhaust is on the fire truck. So again, one of the issues we're trying to alleviate as we look at this bond initiative. And again, more storage, both with cabinets, just different cleaning supplies, and over here on the workbench tool area. Not much room to store a lot of our equipment that we have. Again, looking at some of the size constraints of the station, with the tightness of how the vehicle is packed inside the station and the way that everything has to be arranged to get it to fit, you can see that it is somewhat of a challenge to be able to get into the compartments to pull equipment out, either to restock it or test it, things like that. And not only getting into the compartments, but getting into the cab of the truck. As you can see, it's a very tight station with a lot of size constraints.
Demolishing and building a new station on the current site of Fire Station Number 3 is not an option.
First of all, this is in a floodplain, so in order to build a whole new station, there'd be a lot of dirt work and a lot of expensive land work in order to raise it up to get it out of the floodplain. Also, this is a smaller plot of land, so we're not able to expand out on this spot. We would have to basically go up and go to 2 or 3 story fire station. So we're pretty much landlocked. With the growth of this area, the west side of Lee Summit, plus expected expansion and growth out here, the traffic is going to continue to be a challenge of getting out onto the prior road to respond to calls.
The amount of the bond for the replacement of Fire Station Number 3 is $5 million. The third and final area addressed by the bond issue is replacing air packs and other equipment and apparatus.
What the fire department is looking at replacing are 85 SCBA, or self-contained breathing apparatus, also referred to as air packs. The air packs allow the firefighters to go into a dangerous environment that is either smoky or contaminated without breathing in any of those dangerous contaminants. The firefighter wears the air pack on their back. It consists of multiple parts. The obvious parts that you see here are the bottle itself. The bottles that we currently have will give the firefighter enough air to breathe for approximately 30 minutes. That air capacity varies from firefighter to firefighter depending upon how hard they're working and the condition of the firefighter wearing it. The new bottles will give us 30 plus minutes, true 30 plus minutes, because these bottles have 4,500 psi of air pressure. The new bottles will have 5,500 psi of air pressure, giving us greater capacity, allowing us to spend more time in that dangerous environment, or should something terrible happen, allows firefighters more time to get to this firefighter for the rescue. As far as the pack itself, it contains a regulator both on the back and on the front that attaches to the facepiece. This is what brings the air pressure down to a workable, breathable pressure for the firefighter. And then that attaches to the face mask itself.
As funds are available, another item of equipment to be purchased includes installation of a diesel exhaust capture system in each fire station. This system would remove unwanted diesel emissions from fire trucks and ambulances. The portion of the bond for air packs and equipment/apparatus is $1 million. To recap, on November 8th, Lee Summit voters will consider whether or not to approve a no-tax increase general obligation bond initiative to fund public safety improvements. These improvements focus on upgrading the radio systems for public safety and improving network capability at city-owned buildings, replacing a fire station, and replacing air packs. This is not a new tax, but an opportunity for the city to reissue debt in order to address long-term capital project needs at no additional cost to residents. It will take 4/7 vote to pass this bond issue. This video was created and paid for by the City of Lee Summit to provide information to citizens about the 2016 no tax increase bond issue. This video is in no way intended to influence the decision of voters in this matter. For more information about the 2016 no tax increase bond initiative, call 969-1010 or visit cityofls.net. Elections.